And we are glad to have you for discussion again. Now it's going to be Science for a Trustworthy and Transformative Nigeria Vision 2050. And this is in commemoration of World Science Day for Peace and Development 2025. And the theme says, Trust, Transformation, and Tomorrow, the science we need for 2050. Are we really ready for this? Is Nigeria ready, for all the transformations we are seeing and of course the innovations that is just flying everywhere? Do you think we are ready for this?
Yeah, we'll start being ready when we're ready to put it. You understand? And that's power.
All right.
So we make sure we have adequate power supply in this country. Then we'll now begin to make the next step, which is conscious effort in developing science across board, from primary school, secondary, down to tertiary institution. Because these things can't happen in the air. We need to have a base, and that's how it has to be.
All right, Nigeria cannot be afforded to be left behind. We need to do what we ought to do to, to actually compete with our other the nations of the world that are already there. In the studio this morning, we've been joined by two gentlemen, doctors. When I saw them, I said, these are doctors. All right. It's so good to have you in the studio this morning. Dr. Maxwell Chukwunazo Obikezie is a lecturer, Department of Science, Education, Nnamdi Azikiwe University here in Awka, Anambra State. Welcome to the studio, Doc. All right. We also have Dr. Franklin Ibe, is also a lecturer, Department of Chemistry, Nwafori is the College of Education in Sube. He is also the National Secretary, Young Scientist Center, and an Associate Director, Professional Diploma in Education at Nwafori College of Education in Sube. Good to have you, Doc. Welcome to the studio.
Thank you. Thank you for having me here.
All right. Now, when we talk about science for a trustworthy and transformative Nigeria, what exactly are we looking at, Doc? Any of you can take it.
Okay. I think when we look at science as a kind of thing that we look forward for transformation and trust in Nigeria for a better tomorrow, we are talking of how science can help to alleviate so many things in a country like this. Because when you look at what is happening in the society, starting from food security, personal security, and individual security, we are looking at where science can come in and help to elevate those things. That is what we are talking about for now. So that is the primary purpose of what a nation like Nigeria should be put in place as a case study for now, because you can't talk about innovation without dealing with the problem you have on ground. You must perceive something. As the case is now, we will be talking of how would science help us elevate what we have on ground. I don't want to go into it.
I think we need to go into it because when you know your problem, you know how to go about solving it.
Good. Good enough. Because let me give you an instance.
Okay.
In a situation whereby there is nothing innovative in our educational system, let's just tell ourselves the truth. Most of our governors, they are trying to put things in order, like having smart schools and all the rest of them, which is very good. But if you look at things generally now, you find out that things we don't do innovation. I can give you an instance. During our primary schools, during 1996 to 96 to 2002, that was when I did my secondary school. So you find out that most of our science teachers live inside the school. You have their children inside the school. They stay in the same class with you. They know when to call for the assembly. But look at in our schools now, do you have teachers living inside the school? You hardly see a secondary school where you have teachers living inside the school. Those days, every science teacher stays in the lab. they will be teaching you how the process of observation. You observe this, you see how this thing moves, you see how this thing goes. That is the force of gravity. What happens when the aeroplane beat that force of gravity? What is it called? Aerodynamics, all the rest of them. Another thing, we have what we called technological lab. Those days, it's not even a technological institution. Let's say you have GTC and all the rest of them. This is just a secondary school setting. But we find out that you have a technology lab. What do science do? Science is just, it gives birth to technology. Without science, you can't have technology, the theories and all the rest of them. So you find you navigate through science to technology. So those are teachers, we are there. Even what we call prep, there's what we call prep those days. So you have issues with observation, you go and meet your teacher, even where he or she is living. He or she will give you directives. But now, even our so-called teachers have their children in so-called private schools. Do you get? So this is, we have to deal with the matter on ground, and that is the matter on ground. Do you get?
All right, thank you so much.
Okay, thank you so much for that submission. Let me come to Dr. Franklin. Now, talking about science growing up, I knew my deficiency in science was mathematics.
Okay.
That much you're going nowhere. Now you're talking about the issue about what about qualified teachers, which is even the foundation. We talk about secondary school, but in the foundation,
like the primary school?
Yeah, primary school.
Okay.
Do we even have, is the government conscious enough to invest properly in those areas, on those core science subjects? Okay. Because one, I'm sure I'm not that as a child, but I just didn't have a good enough math teacher to put it in my head. That's no I just believe that was it. So now I went to a government school. You understand? So if government would make available that conscious effort of getting qualified teachers, people that are seasoned teachers, to take care of these kids from the primary school down to the nursery school before they now begin to live in the school. Don't you think that's going to be the basic, the foundation of having this thing? Unlike what we have now, where government don't even lay much emphasis on the quality of what we have to take these kids on and then make this science a culture.
I think you're right. Dr. Frank, who happens to be my friend, is a director in education.
Is him I'm asking the question?
Yes, so you need to...
Okay. Thank you very much. So, actually, let me start by saying that a nation that is threatened by science is always stable and united and resilient. Now, one thing with science is that science is something that helps for a nation to grow to a very maximum height. Now, as you talk about science, as we are talking about qualified teachers, now, you talk about qualified teachers. Now, it's a very good thing for a nation to start strengthening their science, starting from primary school. Now, starting from primary school is that, in the sense that when a nation starts from a primary school, you can see that that nation will going to grow a very greater height. Now, we are talking about religious tolerance in Nigeria, about this and that in Nigeria, where you have a lot of, you say, some people are saying that if you are not an Islamic this or you are not this, you will not be somehow. Now, what we are trying to say here is that when a nation starts inculcating STEM, especially STEM education is in terms of all these science-related subjects, like you talk about sciences, technology, engineering, and mathematics. Whenever a nation tries to inculcate it, starting from primary education level, you can see that that nation will go to grow to a maximum height without all these indifferences on stable.
So what's stopping a nation like Nigeria from achieving that?
Because they haven't started doing such.
But Nigerians are making great exploits in science abroad. So what is it that we are not doing right within the shores of this country?
I think we politicize most of the things.
Okay.
Yeah, we politicize it. Like, if you look at what is happening, it seems that at times I'm not saying all of them, because we still have good governors and people who have education at heart.
Yes.
You see some of them, they will see something as a settlement without going into that required purpose, like you say, qualified teachers, as you say. So what is happening in Nigeria, I think, is embedded in corruption. Yes, it's embedded in corruption. You see, this person is
sacrificing the future of the
good,
country.
sacrificing the futures
of the
students.
students.
Do you get? So when you have such things, I think the way forward, like what happened, I think Anambra State recruited about
8,000 teachers,
which is a big step. I have one of my friends who happens to be a professor, is one of the panel. What they go into to know the qualification of those teachers is very good, the way they did it. Because you must be qualified, you must pass through the educational process. You can't tell me that you are a teacher without passing through education. Yes, they will tell you.
So educational qualification as a certification is a prerequisite.
For you to be satisfied, to be a certified teacher,
to be a
teacher.
Now, if this is for Anambra State, but we're talking about Nigeria, and then we have a vision of 2050. Anambra cannot carry the weight of the entire nation. So what happens to the remaining 35 states?
That is it, if they can elite. That is
let me come in. Let me come in there.
Okay.
Now we need to start it from the Federal Ministry of Education. In that Federal Ministry of Education, they need to now start bringing out some ideas that they can use. Like when you talk about federal schools, they can even start it from federal schools, because you have about many unity schools in Nigeria. They can start it from there. But recently, there is something they did, which is very, very vital and very important. Now, recently, they talk about changing most of the federal science technical colleges to federal technical colleges, Federal Ministry of Education, which is a very good one. Now, what are they trying to do there? What they are trying to do there is that any child that passes through these federal technical colleges must have a trade. He or she must have a trade before he can pass through that college. Now, Frankie,
what's the duration for that, for a child to pass through that?
The duration,
what's the duration?
What I heard from it, that they started it from any child that starts from something like SS1. Once you enter SS1, you must have a trade. They make it that you must have a trade. You must something like, if you are going for something like electrical, you know that this is for electrical. If you are going for computer, you know that you are going for computer, you must have a trade in computer. If you are going for something like fabrication, you know that is for you. So this is the area they are trying to, and they just started in this section. And it is a very right step. Now, if they can be able to uphold that kind of policy from now on, you can see that this nation, at least when they started from this unity school, it will now start going down to something like state schools, some of these state secondary schools, to primary schools.
All right, now that we are talking about, the teachers that were recruited, how qualified they are and stuff like that, I don't know, and you talking about before now, yes, the kind of teachers we have and the kind of teachers we have today. Okay. My question now is how scientists can build public trust in science when we don't really have, do we have quality teachers to bring to birth the kind of scientists that we need for the future, looking at the future of 2050. Yes, do we have the kind of teachers that we need? Do we have trained teachers? Is research, research is important when we talk about this. Do we do enough research in this regard? How can we get teachers that are strong enough to take our kids to where we are looking at?
When you ask whether we have qualified teachers, we have a lot, more than 100. Okay. If I tell you the percentage or number of teachers that have been exported from this country, won't even believe. Even
they are exported. Good. To where?
And Europe.
Most of all these foreign countries.
Have you heard about QTX? QTX in UK. Our teachers, even in Anambra here, every year they are moving out.
They are moving out. Especially
in sciences. Science.
Why are they moving out? Why don't we use them here?
That is it. That was what I was telling you before earlier. Teachers those days, they live inside the school. Do you know how much house rent costs in Oka? And a teacher is being paid 100,000, let's say 100,000. And the person has family. how will he cope? But when that person, a chemistry teacher or a physics teacher, is living inside the school, 2-bedroom flat, it's okay. The person can put all his or her effort. Those days we have male teachers in school teaching mathematics, teaching chemistry. How many, if not because of our governor that recently employed teachers, that is where you have young boys or young guys teaching now in secondary school.
Yes.
But for the last, let's say 15 or 10 years, teaching is meant for women. Yeah, it's meant for women. But that is, it has
Because
not,
there's no money.
because there's no money. How can a cup of Gary now is how much? Do you get? You see what somebody will be doing at the same time?
All right. Let's look at the theme for this year,
Yes.
which says trust, transformation, and tomorrow. Now, how does this year's theme relate to Nigeria's Vision 2050 development goals?
You see, trust. The team says
and
trust.
and the trust was really emphasized.
Good. That trust is there. Let me tell you one thing. For you to trust somebody to give it, you have to trust somebody in order to give it something that is very confidential to you. In fact, I don't know how to say it, but the system is so bad. The system is very, very bad. So what we have to do now is to give the people we give our trust, maybe our vote. I'm not talking all of them, so don't misquote me. Majority of them we give our trust, giving them their vote. They go there to fail us.
Yes. Can I come in here?
So come in and...
Okay, in terms of this trust, I will bring it in two aspects. In these two aspects is that one for government and one for most of these science teachers itself. You know, most of our science teachers, quite all right, we have majority of qualified teachers, but some of them are not also qualified. Some of them are just, when you talk about in terms of science teachers, some of them normally just go there and give what they don't want, what they don't have. You see it? Thereby bringing in a lot of program to the children or to the students they are teaching. Do you get what I'm saying? Now, in terms of government, what I'm trying to tell you in terms of government, as Dr. Maxwell says, you are talking about welfare of teachers. Welfare of teachers is very paramount, very, very important. Because when you give a teacher or somebody something, when you try to empower the person, give that person what he wants, is supposed to use to get to the job, you see that person is going to bring out his mind, bring out everything to make sure that he or she delivers in everything he's doing. Now, another one in terms of talking about science teachers. Now, some science teachers, sometimes, some of them go to school, they go to higher institutions, some of them don't know what they went there for. Some of them just get this employed because of maybe they know somebody up there. They have somebody, they now have the opportunity to what? To get into the system. Now, getting into the system, some of them, like when I was teaching in secondary school, I know a few people that, because of they have that contact they have, they are now into the system. When you give them something to do, they cannot do it. Do you see that? They will just go there and do whatever they want and go their way, thereby endangering the students there, the children. Now, the children will, because they don't know what they are doing now. What they know is that the teacher have come and you know that this 21st century, most of all these are students, they don't even care what you are doing. What they want is you just come there, do whatever you want to do. Unlike before, when we are very inquisitive, once the teacher don't know what is doing, you will start asking questions. You complain.
Yes, you complain.
But recently, you see that some students, this is not about with experience. Students, even though if you give them anything they want there, they will just because of this, I don't know what I want to say is because of all these, they now have maybe issue of this pressing phone or other things. You get it now? Yes. Now, even though using their phone to browse, they say that they can even use their phone and get whatever they want.
No curiosity to learn.
Now, most of all these teachers now that don't know what they will give the students, they will now relax. They will not make more research. Because when you go home and do some research, you will see that you will be acquainted to go to this class and teach the students.
No,
and
I
they will be very
don't
happy.
know. In fact, sometimes there are some discussions we do here, and one becomes emotional because this is your country.
Yes.
You don't have any other country to call your own.
Yes.
And talking about teachers being exported, you know, it's really painful. You know, do we continue this way? If we continue this way, are we going to meet up with the challenges that we are being faced today in the area of science and technology? What do you think should be done? You know, what do we do? Where do we go from here to ensure that the good ones we have, you know, are kept back to nurture our younger ones coming up to become those students that can compete with their fellows outside the shores of this country?
Okay.
All these things is centered in government. If we are to do anything, let the existing one, let the government take care of them. Good. I always say this, you don't give what you don't have. If the government cannot take care of our educational system, it's not just the teachers. It's not just the teachers. Let's say we have a better thing here in Southeast. I did my youth service in the North those days. I know how it. In fact, sorry to say it, I'm on air, but they even mandated us, we the coppers then, to. I say no, we don't do this in the East. I did my work in comprehensive secondary school on Onisha those days. Who are you to come to the exams with something? And they will mandate coppers to go and do expos for these people down there. I'm not talking about here because. So what we have to do is that the teachers, the government has to take care of the teachers. If we are teaching, you know that you are teaching, this is your job. Not after teaching, you go and find where you will sell soya milk and all the rest of them. That is what teachers do in order to put something on the table for their children. If our government, please and please, take care of the teachers, especially in the area of housing. If all the teachers that are teaching in 21 local governments in Anambra State, right? Yes. If they can live inside the school, both primary and secondary school, put those infrastructures for them. There's no need of saying NEPA or all of this. We have advanced energy, the solar energy. Give it to them. Let their children be there in primary school. If I have a younger child, someone between the ages of that in primary school, let that person be in that community primary school.
As long as you're teaching them.
Yes, as long as you're teaching them. It's a policy. Give it to them. Have a house for them. That person will be coming from home. I think all these things, within 5 to 10 years, you will see it change.
Everything will normalize.
And people will not be going abroad. The reason why we are going all these things is because the responsibility in Nigeria is too much. You have a lot of responsibility. As you have siblings to take care of, and they are all waiting for that 100,000 naira every month. Yes, 100,000 naira. How much are teachers being paid in Anambra? Is it not 90-something thousand? Between that, maybe you are in higher institution now. Between how much? 200 to.
Even though those in higher institutions.
Even those in higher institutions, you see, you do research. They will tell you to write articles.
Do publication.
And all those things, they don't pay in naira, they pay in dollars. For you to get promoted. And you will see somebody working like this, you don't have, oh my God. Please, government, for us to sustain these people, government have to put all the effort. When do we even start having about private schools in Anambra? I did my WAEC
in
here.
Nigeria even.
No, in Anambra. Let me talk about Anambra. My WAEC, I wrote my WAEC in comprehensive in 2002. When Mbaniji was the governor. Sorry, I made mention of somebody's name. But go to the history and see 2002. Anambra State was shut down. The school system was shut down. We wrote our WAEC on strike here in Anambra. Do you get? So in that scenario, what do we do? Is it not the government that is the fault? You fail to pay teachers.
Government when you talk about government and their energy process in encouraging the education system,
yes,
there's no aspect of it that you can't talk about. ASU have their loggerhead.
Yes, of course.
The NUT
have their own. Yes.
And even the College of Education and the rest of it, polytechnics and the rest of it. Now, if we have all of these things and we still strive,
of course,
to give the world
the best, of
so
course.
then that means this is the churning ground for all of these things to come. Now, as people that love science, are passionate about science, how can we do our own indigenous science in order to move us to that level of 2015 that we're talking about? We've seen countries like India, go indigenous,
Indigenous.
based on what they want.
Yes.
And we have, okay, take for instance in Oka here, nobody's even talking about transforming the local goat's meat
Goatmeat and
blacksmith
blacksmithing.
aspect. This is already domiciled here. But this is still science and technology.
It's a technology.
It's a technology.
It's a technology.
And transferring
Yeah,
the science and
transferring,
technology.
yeah.
So now, what can we do as individuals, as people
Okay.
living in a place, in order to boost this area, so that we can equally sell something outside?
Okay, let me come in. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Now, I can remember when I was doing my master's, there is my project, my thesis. My thesis centered on using locally improvised materials, improvisation in teaching some of these secondary school students. Now, in area of chemistry. Now, we make use of something like, let me talk about acid, base, and salt. Now, we start making use of which I make sure that most of my students, the people I did that research with, they make use of all those locally improvised materials. Now, what do we do there? Now, what we are trying to say here is that when we start using most of what, like we are talking about indigenous science,
Yeah.
in order to make sure that, in order to increase the productivity,
Increase the productivity and then create further
yes, and
awareness.
create that innovation
Yeah.
to the students. Now, when I started using this thing, I found out that using these locally improvised materials can make students to what? To innovate, even to think wide. They say, yes. So these things we are seeing here, these things around us are science. Do you see now? So it's a very, that one is very, very good. What I'm trying to say here is that I will try to advocate that maybe teachers, science teachers in secondary schools or even in higher institutions can innovate using most of these locally improvised materials in teaching students so that they can understand what they are doing. Because once they start using all these things, you will see that they will say, so all these things around us are science. Yes, and they will start trying to say, yes, we can grow. Then, recently, we did a space week here in ABS here. Yes, in conjunction with ABS, with our Young Scientists Center. During that time, most of the students, both primary and secondary schools, they came. They brought their projects. Now, what I'm trying to say here is that if teachers, and with the help of government, through the schools administrators, can help the students to maybe whoever that has maybe any innovative any kind of things he can be able to innovate, to bring out. The school can help by bringing some certain resources to help the student to what? To bring it out.
All right, we have all it takes as a people to
Yes.
really meet up with the 2050 we are talking about, but a lot need to be put on ground, to make that happen.
Yes.
At this point, we'd like to take a short break here on Science for a Trustworthy and Transformative Nigeria Vision 2050. That's what we're looking into. Let's go for a short break. When we return, we continue to prefer solution to those in positions of authority to know what they could do, and you watching us too can learn one or two things and see how you can come in to help boost what you already have on ground to make this happen.
But I believe already that science and technology has already started helping the country. That's if the government will allow that. Because as we all know, science have given us electric cars, electric bike, good, will I say, mobile network and all of that, which they are helping already. Like if we have more of electric cars imported in Nigeria and electric bike, because of the fuel, the cost of the fuel, it will help the economy.
Science and technology can be involved in the marketing sector, the health sectors of the country, the security sectors of the country also. So for example, in the marketing sectors, science and technology can be employed in individuals and the nation actually putting out their product out there for people to utilize. So social medias like Facebook, YouTube can actually be used in this aspect we are talking about. Then in the security sectors, Nigerians can use technology to improve the security aspect of the country. So in that aspect, we can employ something like the CCTV cameras, database in which individuals can actually register, so that tracking the activities or things individuals do in the country can be very easy. So this also can actually be employed in the health sectors, whereby we use computers to make diagnoses. This can actually help and improve patients.
I believe if there is installation of street cameras, surveillance cameras at the streets in major cities and major roads, people will know that they are being watched, and it's going to reduce crime to a very, very large extent. So the state is going to be peaceful, the nation is going to be peaceful, and of course, a peaceful place, a peaceful community is a prosperous community. So that's how I believe science and technology can help Nigeria.
Science and technology can be prosperous and peaceful in 2050 by several ways. For example, better education, security and peace, improvement of hospitals. Some motors that do not they don't obey the traffic lights, they will know that cameras are everywhere watching them, so when they will disobey the rules and regulation, they can be caught on that crime. So science and technology can be very peaceful and prosperous in 2050.
Most of the phones we are using now, we can use it to track criminals and all of that. Like before, when your phone is stolen, once it's stolen, it has gone. But most of the phone we are using now has GPS. You can track through your phone and many of that. So I believe that before 2050, as you said, we'll be in a better place than now.
Everything still boils down to government, just like our doctors here in the studio, academic doctors are saying that government actually needs to do a lot, because that's where the encouragement.
Or even the first guy that spoke, if the government will allow.
If the government will allow. So I still maintain the fact that indigenous technology is where we need to go. When you see other countries and the way they preserve this indigenous technology, like take for instance the technology of China and this their proclaimed ceramic and the rest of it. The ceramic technology is over 5,000 years. Go to Japan, the art of making samurai sword is over 1,000 years, and they've not left that technology that local way of making it.
Of course.
They are not even modernizing it. It's still that same local way. So what's happening in this part of the world? And these are countries where technologically we've advanced beyond.
Now, do we even appreciate ourselves and what we have? That's the big question that we begin to ask ourselves. Now, doctor, I don't know, the kind of scientific mindset or culture Nigeria should cultivate for a sustainable future. What do we do?
I didn't get you said.
What kind of scientific or mindset or culture that Nigeria should cultivate for a sustainable future?
Good. I think the kind of culture is just one word: curiosity. If we can be curious that this is what we want to achieve, let's go for it. You made mention of ancient sciences that we have on ground.
Even our terracotta here,
Good.
and then the what is it called? The bronze.
The bronze
in
Edo.
Yes, of course.
Even though the one in Oka here, this blacksmith, the blacksmith you have in Oka here.
Why are we not going indigenous?
How do we enhance from those being in that particular setting? Let us move a step high from it. It's just curiosity. We have to sit down. And for you to sit down, you can't be hungry. It's very important. These things are important. These are the things that are visible. Provide for those people who will sit down, give them targets. See, between this and this is what we want to achieve. Then we know that we are serious. But when we come with this theoretical speculation and say we want to be like this and we want to be like this, we can never be like them if we don't sit down now and start doing something. So that's just it. Let us just be curious about this is what we want. Target this.
And persistence.
Be persistent on it. This is what we want. Not when this person comes in, the person will just because of this person is in this particular thing. Let us look to this one.
So now the Vision 2050 that we have to put Nigerian indigenous technology, like captured here as a thing, is it feasible?
It can
Because
be visible.
you can imagine this succession of government you will have. Is this sustainable? Is it feasible?
If you allow me to tell you the truth,
Yeah.
is visible if we want it. That is just.
If it's visible.
One thing you know that these people, they know what to do. Let's forget about coming out.
Government need to come in.
What to do.
Government need to come in.
We've seen that we have brilliant ones. You know, in so many of our schools, you see children with that. I don't know how to describe such students.
Very
Geniuses, yes. Now,
intelligent.
and you bring such a child up, not having a commensurate, learning facility or learning environment to really bring out the best of those children, and even bringing them out, to use them here to be able to, transform our nation, transform our state for the better. What do we need to do to really help these children? Because some of them are eager to, you interview them, they tell you they want to be software engineers. Some of them tell they want to be, but you see some of them, from now, they are already planning of how to go outside the country
because
to go and
of the
study.
Okay, let me come in this one. Now, in this case, when most of our people or some of the students are trying to say they want to go outside there to, to study, to do this, because of one is that there is an enabling environment, one. Two, there is some resources. Sometimes they give them, they pay them. They pay these people some remuneration they can use to what? In helping themselves in doing one or two things. Now, in our country, Nigeria, this thing you have seen now remind me of one of my friends when I was in secondary school. Now, when I was in secondary school, two of us were very, very serious in our academics. You see now, we used to go to competitions everywhere. We used to come down, because I school in Neri, in Okongo Grammar School. We used to come to Oka, go competition everywhere. But do you know what really made this guy not to go to school is because of what? He doesn't have any resources. There isn't any money.
Now our leaders travel outside the country.
Yes.
They see people that go to school. I've seen people go to school on credit.
Yes.
They study. When they start work, the money will be deducted from their salaries little by little. And we had a situation in this country about 4 years ago. There's this UK guy or something that is so brilliant that the case was all over the place. The JAMB refused to release it. That guy won an award in Canada
now
and was given some thousands of dollars.
Yes.
The same guy that Nigeria wanted to frustrate.
That is what I'm trying to say. Now, for instance, I commend this federal government in this NEF fund they introduced, but I don't know how sincerity it will be. That is the only problem that I'm looking at. I commend them bringing that down NEF fund, but the only issue there in that NEF fund is that NEF fund is all about where students are going to get a loan and they will use it for their studies. Just but after that,
do you have the data of students in this country?
That is the thing I'm trying to say. The sincerity is what I'm trying to say. Because everything in the country is all about, I don't know how I'm going to put it, is not all that arranged, is not all that organized. If there is an organization in this kind of NEF fund, it means that it will help a lot of indigenous students in going to school. Most of these poor students that don't have anywhere to, most of them, they have that brain, but because of they don't have that resources to go to school, some of them maybe go into something that you don't even know that this person can do. Like what that person I was telling you, although that person as of today, that guy is a millionaire now because he entered into business. He went into all these apprenticeship.
Okay.
You understand? And from there, at the end, as of 5 or 6 years ago, they settled the guy. And that guy is now he's a millionaire now. He's doing very well in Lagos.
In educational system.
But in the educational system, he doesn't have it now. Because he has that intellect. This guy is very good. Do you see now? So what I'm trying to say here is that our government need to bring out, even though not only government, most of all these agencies, or let me just say companies.
Or even
in
the educational institute, you understand? Because we ask these questions.
Yes.
We have private schools,
Yes.
a lot of private schools, but when you go there, they don't actually have the facilities.
The facilities.
To encourage this science that we're talking about. Most private schools in Nigeria don't have it, except the Ivy Leagues, those expensive ones that are more like you're studying abroad but here in Nigeria. So can government actually make it a compulsory requirement for you to have those facilities in order to run a private school? Can government be intentional about it?
If government wants to be intentional about that,
Shouldn't you start from the government schools?
because our government school doesn't even have the facilities.
Because now, if the government schools don't have it, and then people now say they want to go into school, then in the area where you're lacking, then empower people that wants to go into education to have it. So why can't the government make efforts in that aspect?
The government, I don't think, oh my God, but as the way it is now, if they want to make effort about it, they will. If they don't want, in fact, we are not even supposed to be suggesting to governments now, because to me, they know what they are supposed to do. Yes. Okay, let me give you an instance now. Not that we don't research in our institutions. We do research. We do research, but those things that we do, who implement them, the application is zero.
Who uses it?
The application is very zero. Go to our labs, you see don't research. And at the same time, when you talk about this research, some of them are even sponsored by the government.
Yes.
Sorry to say it. Yes. Most of those research are being sponsored by the government.
At the end of the day,
After
they
the
don't ask.
sponsorship, they will just
They don't
give
ask
They just dump
for,
it.
for it.
They don't ask for
Now,
it.
our time is really running. The issue now is how can science education really be transformed to be able to prepare the next generation for the challenges of 2050.
Okay. As you said, the science education, for science education to be improved, to be transformed, I believe that one of the greatest things there is that, one, government need to come in. They need to come in. Then another one I'm going to suggest is most of all these private sectors, the multinational companies in our country, they need to come in too by sponsoring, by helping. If it is secondary school, most of secondary school or some institutions, high institutions, they can come in and be bringing their money into it. And another one there is that the government also, or the institutions, need to also they need to make sure that most of all these research and innovations done by most of all these researchers in high institutions, they need to put it in place, bring it in, and try to know what they can use it for. And what I'm trying to say, application of most of all these research. Because most of all these research, as we said here, that most times they will just, after doing most of all these research, they will just dump it. They can't implement it. Now, if government or most of all these companies can implement most of all these researches, which some researchers have done, I believe that sometimes these things will be having some leave, and we're having some transformation, some changes in our country, Nigeria.
Now, you talk about, bringing in individuals or private companies to come in.
Yes.
You will agree with me that these are businessmen,
Yes.
and they can't accept going into a venture they will not benefit from. Yes, that is one thing. Now, government should be. Don't you think government should be ready to, assure them?
Yes.
That because a lot of policies have been made in this country.
Yes.
We hear them on the pages of the newspaper. We hear them on the television. At the end of the day,
yes,
nothing comes out of it. So,
okay,
how can these people come in?
Okay.
Just to come in for coming in sake?
Okay. Recently, I heard that MTN Nigeria, that one constructing this on New World Nature Road.
Yeah.
Yes, I had it. I believe that they have an agreement with federal government to do so. Now, it's something with most of all these multinational companies. They need to come in education. They need to help. Bring out some.
Was not you know.
Yes, most of all these people, if they can have an agreement with them. Okay, let them. Okay, they can just remove some taxes for them, but let them come inside education. If they can train or bring in some things that can help. Most of researchers, you understand, or training some individuals that they don't have anything.
With their business.
In line with their business.
You get.
Most of like all these child, NMPC, as in, okay, let's talk about a child, and mobile, and many of them. They can just come. Although there is this company I heard about, this separate. I think separate started giving most of all these scholarships to indigent students. There is a one I signed when I was in, because I'm one of my academic.
What of the selection process?
That is the program I'm talking about. If they can make it to be free and fair, I believe that most of our indigent students can benefit from these people, and they can also bring out their intellect. Do you understand? Showcase their intellect. You see what God has given to them. So these are the way I'm going to advise government to help, to tell these people to start helping these indigent students, so that they can achieve their goals.
If only they are truthful and
yes,
ready.
If they are truthful and sincere.
Yeah.
Thank you.
My last shot would be part of the areas where government should equally come in as the Nigerian educational curriculum should be unified in a system, in a manner that if you're writing JAM to gain admission into a university and they say the university says this is a cutoff.
Yes.
It shouldn't be because you're from Jalingo.
Yes.
With 90. And if you're from Ondo State or Ondo State, they will tell you. So we need to have
a unified
across board.
I
understand. You guys are in the academia. You can push that whenever you meet and have interface with the government. This thing is not helping this country. That's why you see the brain drain. It's tilting towards the south part of the country, and nothing happens
to the north.
But the collective effort of Nigeria exactly should be collective, not when you deprive certain areas and promote certain areas. To me, it makes no sense. If I want to be a medical doctor, because I'm from Sokoto State, I will now be scoring 70.
Yeah.
All right.
Which patient will I be taking?
All right, Doc. I think at this point, I want you to, what's your message actually to Nigerian scientists, students, and policymakers as we mark World Science Day 2025. What's your message?
I think my message to them is we should strive more. We should work more hard. We don't need to look at the government most times because we get frustrated. And to the policymakers, which happens to be the government, I think they should invest more. Yes, from educational system, especially from primary school. Nothing stops us from having technological labs in primary schools.
Yes.
Nothing stops us from having innovative labs in
primary schools.
If you go to all these Asian countries, they started from scratch. Someone in Japan was telling me that the toothbrush they use in their institution is being made by special children. That's what we call special child, those with disabilities. Yes, it's a way of patronizing them. Yes, you don't import it. So if we can have those things, when we are in primary school, we do brooms. Who do broom now as handwork?
And we ask ourselves whether we believe in what we produce.
Yes, that's it. But now you see them do projects with carton. And the carton, the students will not be the one to do it. The parents will go and pay. So what we need to strive and develop ourselves in our own. Even if the government say that they're not going to help us, it will help the child tomorrow, anywhere he or she finds himself.
All right, your message as the world celebrates World Science Day before we go.
My message here is that we need to start. We need to start early. We need to start from primary school level. Starting from primary school level, as my colleagues say here, we need to start, if we can even bring in most of all this laboratory in the primary school, so that the students or the people there can start knowing what is all about science. Now, knowing what is all about science, that thing will make them to say, yes, this is good. And from primary school, secondary school, and tertiary institutions. Now, from all these indications, if we can also inculcate, although we have other areas, courses that is also very vital to the society, but I believe that inculcating them, telling them, advocating them about STEM, science, technology, engineering, and mathematics, to this, starting from primary school, will help to grow or to develop our nation, Nigeria.
All right. All things are possible, and we have all it takes to be world greatest when it comes to science, technology in this part of the world. But the willpower is what we don't know, whether we have it or not. And according to our discussants here, a lot of good quality teachers are being exported. Very, very pathetic situation. So I think all those in positions of authority, as the world marks a World Science Day, should look inward and see where they can come up with, what they can come up with to help to support what we need to do in this country to be that great nation that we've always been. And we would like to thank you so much, gentlemen, Dr. Maxwell Chukwunaza Obikezi, and of course, Dr. Franklin Ibe. Thank you so much for your time this morning, and keep up the good work. Please don't leave us. So. All right, that's our discussion segment for now. We thank you so much for being there. You know, science will thrive if we want.
It's just an effort of our government to just look towards that direction. The money that we spend in budget for agriculture, what is it called, defense, security, if we invest more in science, I'm sure those budgets will be reduced in the near future. That's my passing shots. Good morning, thank you. Up next is Catch the Bus on Good Morning Anambra this morning. Don't go anywhere. The show continues after this.